Hi, this is Andrew Aversa with Impact Soundworks, and today I'd like to dive into some of the more advanced features in our newest library, Bravura Scoring Brass. In particular, I'd like to showcase our really unique Orchestrator and Chord Maker patches. These are what I would call instant gratification patches, because they let you write for multiple different instruments and create these nice lush chords using just a single MIDI track. They're very customizable, they're really powerful, so let's get right to it. Starting with the Ensemble Orchestrator. Now, I showed this briefly in my patch walkthrough video. Basically, what this does is assign each note that you play on the keyboard to a separate instrument, and it's based on the range of that instrument and how you have the voices assigned at the bottom of the interface. So, for example, I'm going to go ahead and play a nice big just C chord with some interval fifths. So that's 5 notes, and the 5 notes are assigned to these 4 ensembles. We have the low brass, trombone, French horn, and trumpet ensembles. So the first note, the lowest note, is played here by the low brass. Then we have the trombone, which is the second voice, the second note. The French horn plays the third, and then the trumpets play the 4th and the 5th. So if you watch the keyboard at the bottom carefully, you'll see what I'm playing. You'll notice that not every instrument is playing every voice. Now, you can customize this behavior down here. So let's say we want the trombones to play the lowest note as well. And then we can leave the French horns on here. And then, well, actually, let's have the French horns play the 3rd and the 4th voice too. And then the trumpets, we'll have them just play the top voice. And you heard as I was playing that, I moved one of the voices and it picked the right one to move. So it does that based on the distance between the last played note and the new note. So for example, let's play this one note at a time, starting with. I moved a voice that was closest to a French horn voice, and so it moved the French horns. Now if I move the bass note instead, then it moves the tuba because that's the closest note to the one that I moved. Now to clarify something about the Orchestrator patch, you can just play chords with this patch and it will voice everything appropriately. Or if you want to build the notes slowly one at a time, that's where you would start from the lowest note up. We also can do this with different articulations. Marcato, nice brassy sound. I should mention that the articulations can be edited like they can in the normal patches. If we click on Marcato, we can change the offset, which will make this a bit tighter, like so. Now compare that to the default patch. That's just a handy little feature. Again, you can access that by control clicking on the articulation in question. The octave dropdowns let you change the overall voicing of the chord by, for example, we can put the low brass 1 octave lower than what's actually played. And again, that would just be the first note, the lowest note, because that's what's assigned here. Then let's say we want the trumpets to be an octave higher. Let's hear how that sounds. Let's see if I can do a swell here. If you have small hands, this is a great feature because you don't actually have to reach down and hit that low octave to get the low brass, for example, down. You can just play relatively close together. The Solo Orchestrator is very similar, but there is one key difference, which is that you can actually change the instruments. So here I'll just play, that same E chord. But let's say you don't like the sound of the tuba there. You could turn it down. That'd be one way to change the mix. You could turn it down almost all the way, in fact. So that's pretty mixed out there. But you could just switch instruments entirely by clicking on the picture. So here we have trombone, and then we could do French horn. And how about flugelhorn and trumpet for the high voice there? Here's what it sounds like if we mix up the voicing a bit. How about trombones and French horns playing the two low voices? We'll have flugelhorn playing the middle and fourth, and then why don't we switch this to piccolo trumpet? We can have that playing an octave higher. So that's the ensemble and solo orchestrator in a bit more depth. Now moving on to the chord maker. This is similar to the orchestrator in that it lets you write for essentially full brass ensemble on a single MIDI track with intelligent voicing. But this time you just hit a single note to create a chord. And these aren't pre-recorded chords either. These are actually generated in real time, so you can have full control over the voicing. By default, if you look at the bottom, we have several octaves here. These are major octaves, the light blue, and then the upper octaves, these pink or magenta, are minor. So let's just play a simple sustain. Each of these octaves represents a different inversion of the chord. So if I just play, let's say a D, that's just the root, and then the next is the first inversion, and then the second inversion, 2 octaves up. It's the same with minor. Except the interval there is a minor third instead of a major third. Again, this is the same with all articulations. If you don't like the low brass sound, you can turn off the bass note and it won't use that at all. The really exciting thing here, which I didn't cover in my original patch video, is the ability to customize and create your own chord voicings. You do that by clicking on the mode menu. So I'll turn the bass note back on. Let's use one of the presets here, the power voicing. The keyword changes to reflect the change in voicing, and you'll hear that instead of triads, instead we're going to hear unison octaves followed by fourths in the middle and then fifths for the top. Sustains, same deal. But here's where the real fun begins. If we hit custom, we can create our own chord voicings. So let's say that we want to do a 7th chord. So we'll set the we'll put the low brass on unison. Trombones can be, we'll have an interval 5th. French horns, we'll have them play the 3rd. And then the trumpets, why don't we do a major 7th? Let's hear how that sounds. We can play that an octave up. Or the minor version. You'll notice that when I selected 3rd here for the interval 3rd, it didn't say major or minor 3rd, and that's because major or minor depends on whether you play it in the lower octaves for major or the upper octaves for minor. Let's try something a little different here. Let's do octaves for these two ensembles, and then we could do a how about a triad first inversion in the horns and then unison for the trumpets. This should sound pretty big. So with this menu, you can create pretty much any chord that you can imagine, any sort of custom voicing. It could be wide, it could be narrow, and you can trigger it with just a single key press. Now let's say you want to get a little aleatoric. In that case, you can put on the randomizer. So if you do that, then the instruments will play a randomly selected chord interval or unison every time you press a note. It'll be a new one each time. If you click the gear icon, you can customize which things it picks from. Okay, so this is going to sound probably a little far out there. We'll play it with the short articulation so we can trigger a few different voicings. That sounds a little bit random. Let's say you want to control the chaos a bit more. Well, you can simply clear your options and you can have it play only a specific interval or a specific set of intervals. So let's say we want the tuba to play either just the unison or maybe the fifth. And then for the trombones, we could have them play thirds or fifths, and so on and so forth. I have no idea how this is going to sound, so let's just try it. So that's a little less chaotic, a little less random. The solo chord maker, like the solo orchestrator, allows you to switch the instruments that you're using. Here's the default. But we could switch it just as easily to something totally custom. Let's add the Piccolo trumpet in, we took the tuba out. We can do custom voicings here as well. So here's the power preset. Or we could do custom voicings here as well. Let's do trumpet at the top. We'll put the flugelhorn back in. And let's try just a nice big chord. Maybe, how about a sixth this time? The 2/6 instead. Just like with the third interval, the sixth is major or minor depending on whether you play the lower octaves for major or the upper octaves for minor. Here's a custom randomizer setting. Anyway, this concludes my in-depth look at the orchestrator and chord maker patches for Bravura Scoring Brass. These come with the complete bundle of the library, but they can actually be purchased separately a la carte. If you want a quick way to add brass textures to your piece, you can actually pick that up. Right now, it's at the price of just $79, and you get the ensemble, orchestrator, and chord maker, as well as the solos, and you get 4 articulations with that. So you're really getting actually a big chunk of the library if you pick out that package. You also get, as a bonus, all of the aleatoric effects. You get the full brass, horns, trumpets, trombones, and low brass with that package. And just on a side note, the chords and effects bundle does require the full version of Contact, whereas the complete version only requires Contact Player, so you don't need any external software. So I hope this video was helpful if you're a Bravura owner in understanding how these patches work. And if you don't have this library, then absolutely check it out. We think it's one of the most affordable and comprehensive brass libraries available. Once again, this has been Andrew Aversa with Impact Soundworks. I'll see you next time.